Hi guys, it's Claire's and welcome to another video tutorial with me. This is part 2 of my two-part series. Part 1 was when we did the gorgeous peony leaves, which I'm going to show you guys in a minute, but I just wanted to show you guys my beautiful, beautiful Eden roses from my garden. This is the inspiration for this video that I will be doing right now, which is part 2. So I'm just going to show you my practice sheet that I've been doing based off these beautiful roses. So we're going to learn how to do these roses in this video, a very nice loose rendition of it, and we are adding it on to last week's video, which is this right here, this gorgeous green loose peony leaf wreath that we did. So I hope you guys are excited and ready to start and create something really pretty. Again, I just want to quickly say, if you enjoy loose watercolor painting of this nature, please do consider subscribing to my channel, as I put out tons of other watercolors in a very similar fashion. So please do check it out. And we are now ready to begin. So to let you know, for the materials that I'll be using, today we are going to be using the number 4 Silver Black Velvet. I have my water ready. This is Canson watercolor paper, and for colors I will be using my St. Petersburg White Nights, and we are using the Madder Lake Red and the Umber. I will also be putting the lemon, the cadmium lemon, on the side, because when we kind of mix this with the red, we kind of get this really cool, interesting orangey peach color, which I might consider using, just because in my practice sheet here we've got some really great collaboration of colors happening. So keeping these aside, and we are ready to actually put some paint on paper. If you are interested in any of the items I've mentioned here, please do feel free to check the links in the description of this video. You should have access, purchase links, affiliate to Amazon available there. So first things first, I am going to be mixing some of the colors on my little shell palette by Lisi Arts on Instagram, for those who are interested, because I get a lot of questions about the shell palette of mine. Again, that's also listed in the description below. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to mix some of the Madder Lake Red. So I'm just going to get a very small amount, because we want it to be very light and soft in comparison to the dark green that we have happening. So I'm just mixing some of that on here. I'm going to get a little bit of water on the tip of my brush, kind of mix that in here. Now the reason I'm only using one brush is because I want these roses to be a lot tinier, because we don't have a lot of space that we're working with. So I might do 3 roses, like one can be a big one, and then we've got 2 smaller ones flanking it, possibly, or maybe just at the top of it. Let's see how we progress. Now the red is for the inside, the Madder Lake Red, and then for the umber, if you notice the flower itself, I'm going to bring this back onto screen. It's got a hint of green on the edges, and that's what I want to use the umber for. So that's where I am going to be using it, just to give you an FYI so it makes sense. And I got some umber on here already. I'm just going to mix a little bit more in case we need a tad bit more, and then we are ready to implement. Okay, so I'm going to start off by adding some of the mixed color that we have on here. And we're going to do the first one over here in this corner, or more lower, I would say, and not quite in the center, so a little bit off the center. And I'm starting by doing tiny little, very fine C strokes. So I did one down, I did one on top, then I'm going to do one at the top here. Dipping the tip of my brush in water, I'm going to go ahead and create another one, spreading it out a bit, leaving white space in between. Then I'm going to do another one on this side, And again, white space is very, very important here. And this is what gives us that nice illusion of light and dark and shadow. And I'm just going to make sure that I'm using just the tip of my brush to continue creating these little linear C strokes around. And as I'm going slightly wider, I'm going to press down the belly of my brush and extend it over to kind of make it look like a bigger petal. Same thing over here. And notice again, I'm leaving white space, kind of overlapping, but leaving that white space so it's hinted. And then for the top, I'm not going to do too many linear lines because I want the majority of the flower to be at the bottom, because that's the perspective I'm going for. So dipping the tip of my brush in water, I am trying to get a lighter color of the pink for the outermost petals. And as I keep on dipping, I'm just going to make sure that I get a very, very faint color at the very, I guess, the last edge of the petal. And this is where we're going to add some of that umber that we have mixed up. So now I'm just washing off the color, getting some of the umber, and I'm just going to add a little bit of it to the edges here. And you can add a little bit of it in the inner bit, wherever you see it's still slightly damp, and then just kind of washing off most of it. You're just going to spread out very loosely some water with this color that we've laid down. And this way we've got this nice soft rose with these nice greeny edges. Now I want there to be a little more oomph to my flower, so because it's very, very light, as you can see. So I'm going to get some color directly from here, and then I am going to go and put it on the center ever so lightly, just like this. So it's still damp for me, and I'm just going to add it a little bit off to the side as well. And this kind of highlights the whole soft dark to light effect that we have, and it's also like layering for our flowers, and it doesn't quite make it look as light as it initially was. So that is the whole method behind it. Now I'm just taking some of the red again, and I'm just adding very, very fine strokes just on the inside, like very fine linear strokes, and just adding a little more depth and detail to this rose, so that when it dries off, we've got a little more loose detail, but it really makes it look so much prettier because it's like a hinted detail, right? Perfect. So this is where we're ending this rose off with, just leaving it as is like this. So you've got this nice pretty rose. Now we're going to go on and do a couple more just so you get this down packed, and you have an idea of how this, give you a little more practice rather. Alright, so I'm just going to add a couple more details to the top, and we are going to move on to doing 2 more roses, just like I had said earlier. Okay, so for this one I've zoomed in a bit so you can get to see a little more of the detail, because I do realize that it might be a little bit too light for you to see. So I'm zooming in so you can see the second one even better. So now again, I'm doing the exact same thing like we did previously. I'm mixing some of the pink, the Madder Lake red, and I do have this yellow here, so I'm also going to be mixing a little bit of the yellow in with some of the Madder Lake red and give us that nice different hue, peachy hue almost. So now I can kind of even dip in some of that in certain areas of our pink for the Madder Lake red. So getting a light version of that pink first, we're doing the exact same thing. This time, this rose is kind of facing upward, so I'm going to make this rose face off in this direction here. Just want to make sure you can see that. Okay, so we're going to start off by doing same thing. So tiny little C strokes. And as I'm going wider, I'm just pushing the belly of my brush down even more, then dipping the tip of my brush in water because I want there to be a transition of dark to light. I'm going to go ahead and do that, all the while keeping in mind that I want to keep white space in between these petals. And now I'm just kind of pressing down on the outskirt petals of these to kind of give it that like as if the petals are flowering out or opening out rather. I'm just washing off some of the pink, the excess pink here. Same thing on this side. And then washing off some more excess pink so I can get a nice light color on here. Perfect. And now I'm just going to do our tiny, like very faded petals to the side here. And then we're going to finish this off by adding some of the green. So the umber that I have on my palette, I'm getting a little bit of that. And I'm just adding it to this portion here. And just like I mentioned previously, we're going to go back in, get some of the darker Madder Lake red, and we're adding tiny, tiny details to the innermost part of this rose. And I want to add it while it is semi-drying up, because then it gives us a little bit of a bleed as we're adding these little details, which enhance the look of the flower. So notice I'm using just the tip of my brush, and I am kind of doing these little C-curve things. And this is what kind of adds a little dimension and detail to our rose as a whole, as you can see. The white space is very, very important. I cannot emphasize that enough. Perfect. And now I'm not going to do any more. I'm just going to smoothen out these last two ones that I did. And then leave it at that. So now we've got our two roses. The second one looks quite nice. We'll just do a third, and then we can possibly either do more or leave it as is, because I've noticed I've got them at a good size. So again, this time mixing some of that peachy color that I have. And I am going to start off by doing one over here, and it'll face upward here. So doing their C strokes, pressing down, leaving white space in between, dipping the tip of my brush in water as I go wider with more petals. And these petals can almost intersect with what we've done with these two roses, so it'll look like they're either over or under. Let's do under. And then for the top area, I'm just doing some very loose like petals here. Perfect. And now we can add the detail for the center. So I'm mixing a little bit more of that Madder Lake red because I'm doing the center first because I can see it's drying up quickly. So I've just added some color, and notice that it's looking quite watery, and that's because I had a lot of water on my brush. So that's what can happen. But it's fine because this is like the third flower, so I am just going to allow it to be looser than the other ones. And then finally, let's do some of that umber. So mixing some of the umber in here, and I'm going to add it in just here at the bottom and a little bit at the top here as well, and just kind of pushing it, almost making it seem like it can act like a shadow between these flowers where they're intersecting. So that's why I'm kind of, that was my idea there. And just kind of moving it around the color. There we go. And got that paper towel. I'm just going to dab a little bit off. Perfect. And there we go. We've got our 3 roses. I am going to continue using the same technique. I'm going to add a couple of more rose details around this, and then that's going to be a time lapse. And then I will get right back to you and show you what the end result looks like. So stay tuned. Okay, so this is the final outcome, guys. I know I said I was going to do 3, but I went with the flow and did a whole bunch of other tinier ones. And I love the contrast of the light roses and the tiny roses to the leaves, the dark leaves and the bigger leaves. So there's size and there's also color contrast, which kind of makes this a really pretty image to look at. I would, however, end off with lighter leaves in the background. So if you have the time, make the effort to kind of add that in. I think it will add a lot more dimension to our painting. So I might end up doing that and posting it on my Instagram story. So make sure that you follow me on Instagram at HelloClariceG. And when you do this and you do post it online, again, tag me so I can see your work. I love seeing your work. And if you don't like actually posting it, just, you know, feel free to send me a direct message. And again, I would love to see it. What else? Yes, please feel free, guys, to also like and subscribe to my channel so you can get other videos like this for free, because I put them out on a weekly basis. So that's it. Thanks so much, guys, for watching, and I look forward to seeing your work. Bye now.